All right. It's 10:45. Let's get this show on the road. Thank you
Yay!
for
I'll
thank you
mute
for
myself. Sorry.
Nicole. All right. For those of you that might be joining us for the first time, everybody's muted except for me. So sorry. And then Nicole's monitoring the chat. And so if you have a question or a comment about anything that we talk about, put it in the chat and Nicole will interrupt me and help me remember what I need to answer. So thanks for being here today. I'm excited. I don't know why, I'm in a really good place right now today. It could change in 30 minutes, we'll see. That's how things are going. But thanks for coming to listen. And we'll just go ahead and jump right in. So I do this time have to share with you the agenda. I actually remembered to do that, although in the last meeting I already found a mistake on the agenda. I have compensatory services twice because that's pretty much all I think about lately. So apparently my mind is putting it in there multiple times. So we're just going to go through this together and then, ask your questions in the chat along the way. I will probably have to put it up a couple times to remind me what comes next. But anyway, so we're getting a lot of questions about progress reports. That's the first thing on the list, and it's kind of the next thing we have to do as in our world, because we've got the gen ed kids are still going to get some kind of report card, so we still need to report progress on our goals. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, but Shelley, I can't even do all of my goals, let alone actually take data on my goals, which I 100% understand. So this is all we need to do is we need to, on the goals that you haven't been able to work on, we're just going to tell parents the truth. We're not going to try to sugarcoat anything or make it a rainbow. I am going to formulate a cover letter that I want you to send with your progress report, kind of explaining that this is going to be a very different progress report than what they're used to getting because we're limited in what we're able to do and how we collect data and things like that. And so I will get that going and get it translated so you can send it home with the progress report. And then there's going to be goals that you didn't work on at all because you can't. And you're just going to write, I couldn't work on this goal at all because of the dismissal, so don't have any new progress to report. You have goals where you've been working on them, but you may not really have a good measure on how the kids are doing. So maybe you just describe the child's engagement with the activities you're doing or what you're seeing them do in the meetings that you're having with your class or whatever it is. And so if you sorry, if you are seeing some progress, then report that progress. If the only information is from a parent, then you report that information. You said parents are reporting they can do this and this. And if you don't have any information on that goal, then you just write that we don't have any information because of the dismissal on this goal. So we have to do it, but you can just tell your parents the truth about whether or not their children have made progress. And then we got some questions in the last meeting about format. And right now, just do whatever you need to do to write the progress note. If you want to do the progress note in PowerSchool, you can. If you haven't written an IEP for a student yet in PowerSchool, then you can't use that progress report. So you'd have to do something different anyway. So it's up to you what kind of progress report you want to send. We've also gotten a lot of questions about being able to go in to do the progress reports, because some of your families you can email those to, but some of them you can't, and you may need to mail a paper copy. And so I'm working on that. I have a meeting later today and I have all kinds of questions about building access. So I will get some answers for you. But I think we could probably figure it out where you make an appointment and you're in your building so you can print off the progress reports, put them in envelopes, and get them sent. If you're not comfortable going into your building and you want to do all of that at home and you're using your home printer, you can buy yourself some ink and get reimbursed. We'll reimburse you for postage, for envelopes, whatever it is you have to go get to make it happen. Don't worry about that. And then, but I'll be letting you know what the process would be to get access to your building if that's the preferred way to do it. I know in some cases, like our SLPs that may have upwards of 60 to 80 kids on their caseload, that's a lot of printing to do at home, as opposed to some classes that have, 5 to 8 students in them. So everybody's in a different boat. So we're going to try to give you lots of options. So we do have to do the progress report. Another really good question that we got in the last meeting was about, what about the kids that we haven't seen at all? We still have to send something. So you might want to send something that says, we've missed you during dismissal. We don't have any new progress to report because we haven't seen you, but we wanted you to know that we're here and that we care about you, and something like that. I just feel like we need to send something to everybody, whether they've engaged with us or not. So there it is. That's the glorious news of the progress report.
And then Emily reminded us last time too that don't finalize progress reports until you do the IEP if you're using the Power School one, because you can't add data after you finalize it. So just do a draft copy.
Yes, so what that means is, like, if you just wrote it in March and now it's end of year, you do the progress report, but don't finalize the progress report. Or when it's time to do it in November, you won't be able to add anything. You finalize it when you're writing the new IEP for the next time. Does that make sense? Amy is the queen of nodding and making sure that I know she's got it. But anyway, so that's what that all means. Okay, so there's that. I believe, do I have the agenda memorized yet? The answer is no. ESY is next. Okay, so this is another one of my questions that I have for the people above me about building access. We're assuming right now that with the governor's allowance of groups of 20, that we will be able to run ESY this summer in person, which would be the best option for families. We're going to come up with a plan A and a plan B. Plan A would be that plan B would be that, well, plan A will be that we do it when we normally do it. It might mean that we need a few more classes so that we can keep kids safe and that we can keep our numbers small. Plan B would be that we would do it in person, but push it back in the summer if we need to a little bit. And it might mean we also try to shorten it. So maybe we do one more day a week and not as many weeks, or something along those lines. So we're going to start planning that. Now, you never know, something crazy could happen. I know some districts are thinking about online ESY, which makes me want to swallow glass. And so unless I am told from on high that I have to do that, we're not doing that. I'd rather not do it, but I didn't say that out loud. Anyway, I did, and it's recorded. Awesome. So, anyway, we'll start working on that, and you'll start hearing more about that. I know parents are probably asking questions, and you can let them know that now that we have new guidelines, we're putting together a plan. Dr. Cunningham has a meeting next week with our state superintendent and the other superintendents. It is about summer access for students to buildings, and so I'll have a few more details about what we're allowed to do and not do early next week. So there's that. But I'm hoping we'll just take a bunch of precautions. We'll probably come up with a version for our medically fragile kids whose parents may not be ready to send them into a school. So there might be a homebound type version or something with ESY that we need to do that way. So I will have all of that on our radar. And ESY is, of course, we're talking about our typical ESY that we do for the kids we already knew were going to qualify when we left. Um, it's not anything compensatory. It's just what we have to do. So that's kind of the skinny on that. Did I miss anything, Nicole? No? Okay.
I don't think so, no.
Excellent. Does anybody remember what was next? No. Including me. How can I forget? Compensatory services and data. Womp womp. Okay. Okay. This is the big enchilada, right? So here's what you kind of need to know about compensatory services. So I watched a really great webinar, national webinar with some of the leading legal minds in special ed. And it was really good. And I'm putting together some guidance from that for you guys about how to talk about compensatory services. But the two main things that you need to know are that compensatory services are not necessarily minute for minute. So we don't have to make up every minute that we missed, which is great for us. It's about a service that didn't get provided. So a child has now regressed. And what do we need to do to provide that service to get them back on track? So some kids with the exact same goals and the exact same service pattern are going to need different amounts of compensatory services. The other thing that you need to know is that compensatory services can't be determined until we have the kids back, because it's about loss and regression, and we won't know until we have them with us again how much regression they've incurred and how much we need to make up. So I know that's going to be really hard for parents, and I'm going to talk about something else in a minute that might help with that a little if we get to do it. But just know that sorry, I'm getting a notification. Just know that the party line right now is to let parents know that they're going to get all of the compensatory their students deserve, and that but we can't decide what that looks like until we know where they are at. So until we bring them back, our students that attend ESY will have a little bit of a head start on that. But until we have them back, we won't know. The other thing they talked about that I thought was really good, and I'm going to say this and I don't want you to panic, so we'll talk about it a little bit, but is that the 3 data points that we need the most for determining compensatory services are going to be where they were on March 13th when they left, where are they at the end of dismissal, so on June 3rd, and where are they in the fall when we get them back. Now, obviously, we already know the March 13th answer, and we can't know the fall answer until the fall. And so the hard part is the one in the middle, because collecting data right now really sucks. So I don't want you to panic about that, but I want you to think about if there is a creative way for you to figure out where your kids are at, whether it's a short interview with a parent or with the student. Those of you who have students who are actually completing work, even if we don't know how much help they're getting from parents, there's that. And then we will, so even if you don't know how much help they're getting from the parents, it's still good information, right? So if you are a teacher that can come up with some sort of exit ticket, or maybe a small quiz that you have kids playing, or if they're doing Lexia or ST Math or something along those lines where you can get some data about where they're at on June 3rd, that would be very helpful. So we're going to need information if we can get it. If you can't get it, we can't get it. And if kids aren't engaging, they're not engaging, and that's okay too. So don't kill yourself, okay? And don't swirl in a circle of stress about it. Just think about what you can do to get any information that you can, which would also help you with your progress report. if you're able to get any additional information. Nicole?
We had a question about if kids are graduating or aging out, will we still be offering compensatory? Possibly,
That's a really good question, and my guess is probably yes. We'll have to give them something, but that graduating one is interesting because if they graduate, they're not eligible anymore. Um, of course, some angle I haven't thought about. Which is, this is why we do this though, right, you guys? So you make sure that I'm thinking of all the things. So I'll talk to Christina, our lawyer, about that, because I know we will need to owe them something because they got a whole 3 months of nothing. And I know, we'll also end up having to figure something out for the kids that moved during this time, or that well, not the ones that moved during this time, but the ones who move over the summer, right? Who were with us for this period and then they go somewhere else. We're still responsible for the services they didn't receive while they were here. So that's really my problem. You don't need to worry about that. But there's lots of complicated things when it comes to comp ed. So I'm guessing, I think Ben, did you ask that question? Yeah, I will figure something out, but we will probably have to give them something, especially your group. I don't know as much, like with our resource students that graduate, I don't know what that will look like exactly, but I will work on it.
And then there's a question about the 10-question geography assessment that seniors have to take. They're not waiving
No,
any kind of graduation requirements.
they haven't waived any of those things. And so I believe there's an online option for taking the civics test. Jeff?
The teacher can pick 10 questions from the bank of 50 and just give it to the student online. They just have to get 7 out of 10.
Nice. Thank you, Jeff. That's helpful.
You sound surprised.
Did I? I didn't mean to. Sorry, Jeff. You're the man. Okay. Okay. Did I miss anything on comp services, people that heard me before? Nicole? No? No. And
I can't remember what you said in this one and the last one. That's the
Oh, there you go. I know I got the two big things, so that's good. We'll be offering lots of different versions of services, right? And I did want to say this. And we want to say about ESY, if you're interested in teaching ESY or you are interested, your parents are interested, will you please ask them? And let's start a list going, because I'm assuming we're going to have more classes so we can keep groups really small. So we're going to need more people. But I know our awesome pairs that don't get paid over the summer sometimes need that income. So just start gathering that information, and Jessica will be sending stuff out, but just so you're prepared about that. And the other thing is, one of the things you need to know about comp ed is that there's nowhere in there does it promise that the exact same service provider that provides the services during regular time or whatever has to be the one who provides the comp ed. So when I've done it in the past, we just basically throw up a thing and are like, who wants to make extra money and provide compensatory services, kind of like we do with ESY. And then teachers, they have to be special ed teachers, obviously, and they have to have the right knowledge, obviously, but doesn't mean that you will be required to provide all of the services to your kids. We're required as a district to provide them, but there's nothing that stipulates it has to be you. And there's nothing that stipulates what format it takes. So we're going to provide options, right? And choices for families and different things that make sense. And I have a meeting today. Yes, transportation is provided for ESY. I saw that commercial. Comment. What is happening with my brain? Anyway, don't answer that part. No comments about my brain. So we'll provide lots of, I have a meeting with Amy Wyrick today to talk to her about getting some input from parents about what they think would be helpful, so that we're, not just deciding what we think would be helpful, but they've experienced kind of a lot of things on the front lines. So I just wanted you to know that we're going to get their input, and I'm going to try to get into a format where I can talk directly to parents, maybe save you some of the having to deal with that. I will say, if you have a parent who's getting super hot about comp ed, you need to send them to me. Okay. You're not going to have a lot of answers for them, and I'm not either, because until we get them back, we don't know. But that's my job, is to deal with that. So just keep us posted if somebody's starting to really get frustrated, or let your consultant know, and we'll get involved, because I don't want you to have to deal with that right now. That is not fun. Okay. All right, the next one is probably the one I'm the most excited about, but this response, proactive support for students. So when I've been thinking about comp ed and different things, I had this thought, and some other districts are doing something similar. So this is something I'm working on. It's not been approved yet, so don't get too excited. But but what I would like to do, since we can't provide comp ed till the kids are back, I think it would be smart for us to provide not comp ed, but like some sort of proactive response to the loss of instructional time that kids have had, which may end up minimizing how much comp ed we have to do, which I think would be smart. So it would involve some sort of summer thing in early August, and we would have a secondary version and an elementary version. And the elementary version, it might be something like, for 10 days, we're going to bring kids into buildings. They're there from 8:30 to 11:30. We do some SEL stuff. We do some routines of school stuff. We do some reading. We do some math. We do something fun, an art project, music, or something like that. And then we feed them lunch and we send them home. Just because we have so many kids, some of our kids with behavior haven't had a lot of demands because their parents are like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So they are not doing anything, right? Because it triggers the behavior, and they're just trying to survive. And so it would be a way to get kids slowly integrated into remind them kind of what it's like to be in a school building before they have to do it on day one with a gazillion people and lots of demands all day long. So I'm working with some gen ed colleagues on that, because we would probably have it wouldn't be open to every kid in the district. It would kind of be like an invitation, and we would look at groups like our ELL students, our special ed students, some of our more vulnerable groups, and target those groups first to come and do something like that. If we're doing it embedded in with gen ed, it doesn't look like an attempt to like do comp ed but not do it. Does that make sense? And so it would be nice if we were embedded with gen ed providing something like that. So it's in the very preliminary stages. I'll let you know what happens, but I would really like to do it, and I think it would go a long way with parents if we had some sort of proactive response to the kids missing so much time. So that's in the works, but that would be another opportunity for your paras to work, just so you know. We could throw that out there. And it would be just a similar thing. We would get teachers to volunteer, and they would be paid extra, just like for comp ed, to put something like that together. So I will let you know what happens with that as it develops. I'm hopeful. It's a really great group of people with whom I am working on that.
Lots of people liking that idea, Shelley.
Well, good. I like it too. Hopefully other people like it as well. Notice there it is, the repeat comp ed, which we're not going to talk about because really. But okay, extra paperwork days and files for transfer. So your extra paperwork days still exist. If you haven't used them all, however many you haven't used, you still get to use. There are pretty much nothing has changed with those. So they have to be done in the 2 weeks after your contract ends, which is June 3rd. So you have 10 days after that. 2 weeks after that, sorry, to get them, use them, or you'll lose them. And something I need you to all think about is that we're currently not able to do any of our typical transition activities. So for example, usually in a few weeks here, we're having you be done with all your files, right? Because people come and pick them up to move, like if you're moving a child from pre-K to elementary or elementary to middle or middle to high, we come and we get all of those and we give them to the receiving teachers before we go on summer break. However, everybody right now is doing all this stuff at home, and we don't know necessarily what's being done and what isn't. And you've got maybe meeting minutes at home and addendums at home and all these kinds of things. And so one of the things we'd like you to do during your paperwork days is to go in. Obviously, you're going to need to go into school for that. So that's something else I'm working on, is what's the process to get access to a school, because it's not really helpful to work on files when you don't have files, and we don't really want the files going home. So we'll get you a way to get into the building, and then what we need you to do is print all of that off. Print all of that off and put it in the physical file where it goes. So if you've held an IEP and you took minutes in which you documented who was there, like, we need all of that in the actual physical file. So during your paperwork days, if you could make sure that happens, that would be super helpful. And then we'll have some instructions for you as to where to put the files that are moving on. Like all your 6th grade files, we might have you put in a box and give it to someone in the office so that we can come get it during the summer. And then we'll get it to the receiving teacher probably in early August, because we just can't do it right now, and nor would we want to, because we've got documents from here to who knows where. If you could use your paperwork days to help us with that, that would be great. And I know that you can't use your badge right now and all those kinds of things, but we'll get plans in place for you to get access to the building. So I have a meeting later today with the people above me, and that's on my list of many things to ask about. So anyway, there you go. All right. Let's see what's next.
Shelley,
What?
last meeting we talked about IEPs due before October 1st and the fail-safe in Power School. If you want to hurry and talk about that.
Yes, I would love to talk about that. So if you are sending students on, right, so pre-K to elementary, elementary to middle, middle to high, and the IEP is due before October 1st, we've been asking you to draft in Power School a PLAF and goals, not to hold a meeting, but to have that drafted in there so that when the receiving teacher gets the student in the fall, that part is done, and then they can finalize it and hold the meeting with the family. I know in the past, sometimes we've held the meetings in the spring, but we don't want to put that on parents right now. It's just too much. It's too much. So but you do need to draft it so that the receiving teachers has something to work with. And then, and don't worry, like once it's drafted in with a student, it stays with that student in Power School, so you don't need to worry about doing something special. It will roll over with the student with next year's case manager. Good? Everybody looks good. Okay, very good. All right. All right, next on the agenda, para allocations. And then my favorite one, things I don't know, which is endless. But we won't go through all of the things I don't know. So I know a lot of schools, sorry, I'm backing up. In the next 10 days or so, we are planning on having a day where we can get all of the consultants in a room to do class lists together, because it's better when we do it all together, so we make sure we don't lose anybody, lose anybody's kids, as we're making all of those lists and checking all of the different things, because we've got kids integrating back into the district from private school, we've got kids leaving to private school, we've got kids rolling in up through the grades, we've got, it's just kind of bananas. So we have to keep track of everybody. So we're going to do that. And while we do that, then we'll kind of know how big classes are, right? So as we do that, I will review with people and we'll get those para allocations going. So I'm going to say that in the next 2 weeks or so, by the time we meet again, we should have been able to provide you with that information. So that's the goal. So there you go. That will help you with lists, and it will also help you with para allocations. See, whatever, I can't maintain my attention. All right, so we're going to end with the things I don't know. We're getting a lot of questions about things like, what's this going to look like in the fall? Is the school year going to be extended? Are we really going to start school in the fall? What's going to happen if we dismiss again? And lots of questions like that, to which the answers are, I have no clue. So things like, I do not have the power to extend the district calendar, okay? So I don't have the power to like extend your contract or anything like that. All of those things will be voluntary if we do end up going longer or something like that, but right now that's not at all in the cards. If you're looking for answers about, like, is there going to be creative scheduling or something like that, the school board is the only group that can do that. So if you have ideas or you want to know what their plans are, you can absolutely contact a board member and ask them those questions. So there's that. I will tell you that we've already started meeting. I've already been invited to be a part of a group that, if we ever had to do dismissal again, what would we do differently and how could we make it more seamless, just in case, because you know, you're hearing on the news that it'll come back in the fall and we don't know what that will mean, and we never want to relive it the way we relived it this spring ever again. So it was a super encouraging meeting because I was invited from the onset and not later when I threw a fit about not being invited. And then they weren't able to take into consideration the things our kids need that are different. But some of the things they're talking about are like having one place on the website where parents go to get information about anything, right? So if they needed OT-PT, if they needed questions for like some SEL activities, if they needed, it's got everything in one place. And we even looked at some websites from across the country and how they've done that. They're talking about how they streamline it to like a single sign-on. So a kid would sign on to the network or whatever, and they would be in their campus. They would be in Seesaw or whatever it is that we're using. Like, they would not have to then go sign into Canvas and then go sign in to something else, because that has been one of the biggest nightmares, is trying to teach kids how to do that when we barely know how to do it from a distance. And it's been a big barrier for families. So we don't want to do that anymore. We've got IT involved already so that we can talk about better ways to make all of these things work for kids. So it was very encouraging and very proactive, and it made me feel nice. Because the other thing was trying to minimize the different messages that different people are getting. You know, even in our last meeting, one of the principals was on the meeting and had information I don't have about something. So I think it was report cards or something. But anyway, there's things that are happening that I know nothing about. And then you guys ask questions and we're like, oh, is that a thing? Like the whole cleaning your room out by May 8th. We found out about that by accident. Awesome. So anyway, we're working on that, but I was really it was really good. But I think, I mean, as far as like what's going to happen, I just don't know. And we're going to have some issues with parents who aren't ready to send their kids to school in the fall, and what's our obligation there, and different things like that. And I've had a parent email me, you know, specifically about like medically fragile students and how are they going to navigate a whole school, because they will still be in that vulnerable group. And so we'll have some protocols and things for things like that. She also asked me what I'm going to do to guarantee her child's health, which I couldn't guarantee before. I'm not going to be able to guarantee it in the fall, which is hard for people. But I don't know all of those things. So we're just, I promise that if I learn something new, my next thing I do is I send it out. And the flow of information has slowed way down, which has been kind of nice, right? Because that was like not just one fire hose, but several happening all at once. But if something new comes out, I will tell you as soon as I know it, but I don't know exactly what will happen in the fall. And it's hard because you hear things from other states or other districts that are like, well, we're talking about not coming back, and then, or whatever it is. But I haven't heard that. And I think it'll be interesting. I've kind of liked that all the superintendents get together with the state superintendent and the governor, and then they make one decision for everybody. I kind of have liked that. And so I'm assuming that's how that will roll forward too, that they will continue to make decisions that way. So hang in there with the stuff you don't know, which is super hard. But I wanted to end our meeting today. Look at how fast we are. The second meeting goes so much faster than the first one. You guys are gifted. So I wanted to share something with you. One of my favorite things about this whole COVID business, it's not my favorite. I have no favorite things about COVID, but I have enjoyed watching different people. I have been enjoyed watching like the beautiful things that come out of the humanity of different groups and things that you're watching. Like I'm glued to John Krasinski and his Some Good News broadcast that he does once a week. And I've started following a bunch of different, sorry, I'm messing with my computer while I talk to you. And so that has, I've just been really fun to watch good things happen and people putting themselves out there to do good things, and bring, you know, joy or relief to different groups across the world. And there's some really cool things you can see out there on different social media outlets and things that I like. So you're going to get a glimpse now into the bizarre world of the Halverson household. But one of my favorite things being at home with my family has been to watch my kids kind of reconnect with each other. So I have an almost 19-year-old in she's going to be, my oldest is going to be 19 this month, and JD, and then I have a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, and an 11-year-old. And they've kind of reverted back because that's their friend group now, right? Is each other. And when you have teenagers, they tend to, like, at any given time, you never have the whole family at home because they're super busy and they're going all this way and that. And so it's been kind of fun to see them do things that they haven't done in a long time as a group. For example, like, you know, they've slept outside together, and they created a restaurant for us to eat one day and made dinner and desserts. And then some of you have seen this already because we might be Facebook friends or something, but they made a music video. So I want to end today on a super positive note. And so I'm going to share this with you, and it is goofy, and you're going to learn some things about me, like the fact that my Christmas lights are still in my house, but I kind of don't care. So without any further ado, you get to see the Halverson Children's music video debut.
In the summertime, when the weather is hot, you can stretch right up and touch the sky. When the weather's fine, you got women on your mind. Have a drink, have a drive, go out and see what you can find. If a daddy's rich, take her out for a meal. If a daddy's poor, just do what you feel. Speed along the lane, you can turn or a turn of 25. When the sun goes down, you can make it good and live by. We're not bad people, we're not dirty, we're not mean. We love everybody, but we do as we please. When the weather's fine, we go fishing or go sailing in the sea. We're always happy, lives we're living, yeah, that's our philosophy. Sing along with us, dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, da-da-da-da-da, yeah, we're happy. Da-da-da, dee-da-da-dee-da-da-da-da. Yeah. Da-da-da-da-da, all right, all right, da-da-da-da-da. Whoosh, whoosh, all right. When the winter's here, yeah, it's party time. Bring a bottle, wake it back, 'cause it'll soon be summertime. And we'll sing again. We go driving, or maybe we'll settle down. If she's rich, if she's nice, bring your friends, and we'll all go into town. Sing along with us, dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, da-da-da-da-da, yeah, we're happy. Da-da-da, dee-da-da-dee-da-da-da-da.
All right, hold on. The next YouTube video is gonna start because I can't figure out how to stop YouTube. Oh, I want to be an accidental icon. All right. So now you've seen that my children put their siblings in recycle bins and they do all kinds of crazy things. But that's been one of my favorite things to see, is to watch them go back and do some of those things together. So just know that there's lots of beauty to see in all of this if you look for it. So that's my thing in May, because April was kind of rough, I'm not gonna lie, and I want to be done with that. So here's to all of you and all the things that you're doing, and here's to us, because we are killing it, my friends. We are killing it, and we're doing hard things, and we're seeing good things happen for kids in spite of that. I know you have kids you're worried about. I'm worried about them too. But we're gonna do the best that we can for them, and we're gonna move forward. So I'll see you in 2 weeks, and have a great weekend. And it's Friday, it's soft opening Friday, so go do something in a mask. How about that? Okay, see you later. Love you.